We're back again and we're live. So I don't know what happened there. Like my live stream kind of froze, but once again, cheers. Okay. So hopefully this will work this time. So like I was saying before, this is the 10th episode and Eliza's here. So I am just going to have her join like as soon, like basically like right now. Hi, Hughes Taylor. Okay. Okay, I don't know what's going on with Instagram Live tonight. Okay, yeah, try requesting to join again. All right, we'll make this work somehow. Okay, request to be in, yes, view. Go live. Let's see, I just accepted.
Hey!
Hey! Oh my gosh, all right, we made it work! We did it.
It works.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. It's like my live completely froze.
Oh no!
Yeah. So I had to, I had to kind of restart everything again. And yeah, I don't know what happened. It was weird, but I don't know. Sometimes these live streams can be unpredictable.
Technology. Hold on.
Yeah.
Child isn't. Okay. Make sure she doesn't eat the dirt. Likes to eat the dirt.
Is that Erick in the background?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Awesome. Well, it's so awesome to like kind of talk to you face to face.
Cool.
I know. I absolutely, what I was saying before we had all the technical mess and everything, what I was saying was that I came across your blog. I was actually doing some research on a cosmetics presentation, and I happened to like a historical cosmetics presentation, obviously, and your blog came up in the Google search, just as I was like kind of looking up, just documents and websites and everything, and you had I loved your stuff on makeup and cosmetics, and I still love to read about it and everything. But what really hooked me was the fact that you also, like me, love debunking historical myths.
I do it for it's part of the job. I just love. My favorite thing is when I'm like doing the musical performances. Everybody's like,
"Yeah,
you're in a corset. Can't you? You can't breathe." And I'm like,
I know.
Get an opera aria.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. The whole corset thing, because I read your whole article about like defending corsets and all that fun stuff, and I was just like, yes, because because how many times do we go to like a history site and it's just like and sometimes you hear the stuff from the docents.
I will fight somebody in a Waffle House parking lot behind the dumpsters about stays. Like, no shit. Where is it?
Oh man. Oh gosh. So yeah, so how just to make sure I'm pronouncing your name correctly, is it Eliza Vincz-Lichak or okay, I got it right.
You got it?
Yes. Yay! All right. And that Erick and Snow Baby there?
Yeah. The one.
Hi, Snow Baby.
Hey, Snowbird. You say
hello. Hi.
the dirt.
Oh, man.
Been her up for...
So cute.
Yep.
She is.
Aw. Yeah, but I think like I really resonated with your blog a lot. Number one, like we're both musicians.
Yeah.
Number two, not only are we both in living history and into costuming and all that stuff, but but we also seem to be of the like mindset where it's like, okay, yes, it's important to be accurate. No, we don't want to be just kind of just spouting off whatever thoughts, come to our, just because we think it'll be entertaining to the crowd. But at the same time, we also don't think, it should be so uptight that it's just dry, boring, and not fun, and, being an extreme purist, if you will,
I mean, there's ways you can be purist without being boring. I got into this because I wanted to make history fun and accessible for everyone. And there's two universal languages. One is fashion and the other one is music.
Yes.
Music is universal, music is this universal language everybody loves.
Right.
And then with clothing, everybody loves everybody wears clothing. Everybody gets up in the day.
Right.
Fixes their hair, does their makeup or whatever.
Yeah.
Except for you. You don't need to really worry about that. You're naturally.
The bird doesn't need to do hair and makeup. That's all good.
She is iconic on her own. Yes, you look.
Mm-hmm.
She's a little fashion.
Yeah. No, but I agree, music and fashion, it's definitely a universal language. And I do think that even if you are doing something historical, like historical makeup, historical fashion, historical music, it'll still draw people that are into, music and, and fashion and makeup, even in a modern sense. They might look at that and be like, oh, I like music, I like fashion, I like makeup, I'm going to go check that out, even if I'm not a history buff.
People who just say, like, I hate history, like, but you've made it cool.
Yeah, exactly. And see, yeah, exactly. That's the thing. We have to, hey guys joining us. Hi. Hi. Speaking of friends joining us, look at the book I got. I wanted to show it off.
That is one of my.
Because I know you're friends with Sign of a Gray Horse.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it is so useful for not only just research, but like recipes. Like because of that book, I really got into baking. I wrote of it, where I like gauged everything on Happy Erick's.
Yes. Yeah. I love how you do the Happy Erick's. Like that's how you rate it and everything. But I wanted to like bring this on because I know you're friends with her and everything, or you've at least worked with her like before. And I'm actually, because I'm going to be coming out with a new podcast within the next like month, and it's going to be me discussing some of the books that like I've read, like history, fantasy, all that stuff. And and that's and I'm planning to cover this book as well. But see, that's the thing. It's just, making history fun. You can be like, I'm definitely a purist at heart, and I'm, sure you are too, but I'm not so much to where, because for some reason, it's just people are seem to be of the opinion that history can't be fun, And sometimes it's like what actually happened is more exciting than, like say like the creative liberties people might take in historical fiction.
It's actually,
like what are your thoughts on that?
Some of the stuff I've done research and read about has actually inspired me to I'm working on a historical fiction, like young adult novel about Peggy and her friends solving a murder.
Nice.
So I'm excited.
Yeah, so you're going to be, you're like writing a book and everything. I love it.
Got the ideas down. I just need to outline everything and everything out and organize it.
Exactly. Yeah. And like I said, you guys are musicians and you guys have, done all kinds of traveling and all kinds of, different shows. You've done some different eras too, because I know you guys have done 18th century to a very large degree, but I also saw you guys were doing some Civil War era too.
Yeah, we've been getting into that as well. And I've actually been looking into like mid-19th century murder ballads.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we'll show you the.
Yeah.
Yeah, I warn you, the bird is terrified of the banjo.
All right. Yeah, but I like that, you guys seem to be kind of like, you do a little 18th century, you're doing like Civil War, you're doing murder ballads, and I know you've also done like, some World War. Now, do you guys have you guys done music with like the World War I era, or
that was more,
or is it just more like, kind of doing some demos at events?
Yeah, I did the World War
He did the World War I music with the drum and bugle corps.
Yes.
Oh, cool.
More than I do, for the Revolutionary War. Snowbird.
Oh,
Yes.
Aw.
I'll get it. Oh.
This is usually that I give her a whole little song and a dance
She'll
and
be
a
okay.
snack.
She'll be okay.
Yeah.
So we got into
Yeah.
one stuff during the centennial, and we bought, Warlitz
Mm-hmm.
from 1917, 18. We bought original snare drums, bass drum.
Uh-huh.
And it was about 6 of us, and we did everything from cover
Yeah.
to.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, that's awesome. But and I know you mentioned, I think when we were talking about doing this, about how the music of ancient Greece actually very much inspires the music of today, which it's interesting because I was also talking to, like I was having a conversation with one of my own bandmates in the early music group that I'm part of, and he was actually saying about how music from the Baroque era was actually is actually pretty similar to rock and metal, you know.
And actually, the chords, yeah, there's a bit of that.
Yeah.
So, music in ancient Greece and things like that. A lot of the music that Erick does, the drum and fife music, is actually inspired by Dionysus. Dionysus,
nice,
god of wine, but he's also the god of primitive or war music. And so what I have here is the drum major's baton, which is
from the Indian War. It's American,
and it's meant to look like a Theosis. Yeah. You know what a Theosis is, right?
Yeah.
Yep. So the Theosis.
Oh yeah.
I mean, yeah, we're a couple of modern day maenads.
Yeah.
I've been on a diet, so I can't be drinking wine anymore, which is like heartbreaking.
Oh no. I was gonna say, aren't you like the wine ant? You know.
Let's talk about the Theosis and how it relates to the modern day drum major's baton.
Yeah, absolutely. The
drum major's baton comes from the Theosis, which has the pine cone on top.
And today we have like the symbolizes masculinity and what we're talking about. This
of course
the length of it fennel stalk, and then wrapped around it is ivy, and the ivy was considered to be what would cure the hangover or headache from the wine. Even though the wine was strong in ancient Greece, it was the ergot.
It was laced with LSD.
Rust. It was laced with a LSD.
A lot of things were. Yeah.
So today, they have like a little chain around them, which is kind of
reminiscent of the ivy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy, right? So it comes from ancient Greece.
So this one time in band camp, no, I'm joking.
Oh goodness, yeah.
It comes from Dionysus.
Okay.
So like all that breath and all that comes from D.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, so like how would you, like as far as like musical patterns go, like in chords and everything, how would you say that, the music of ancient Greece is, kind of similar to, say, a song from today, like as far as chords and, just kind of like musical patterns go?
Yeah, I'll scoop the child up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so you're asking like the chords and, music of
Mm-hmm.
The ancient Greeks really used chords so much as if you look at like say music of India today, I don't think they really use chords in their classical music.
Yeah, no, that's true. They don't.
They was it tablas? They use drums. They use Eliza? What's their I'm drawing a blank for their it's like a loop that they use.
The lyre?
No, in Indian music today.
Oh, the sitar.
Yeah, all right, I knew that. Yeah, so the sitar.
Okay.
Grapes.
I'm the music major, and I'm asking her. So yeah.
And you're asking, hey, sometimes we need a little refresher. That's fine,
So the music, Indian culture goes back to real ancient antiquity, and it's probably somewhat similar to what the ancient Greeks, Romans, Sumerians, perhaps even would be doing at that time. But they didn't have the harmony that European music developed during the Middle Ages. Yeah. So the earliest piece of music that I think exists is called the Epitaph of Sikylos, which is the ancient Greek
Right.
music that's dedicated to the worship of Apollo.
Okay.
That's our band name, Ministers of Apollo.
Right.
I was gonna say, like, you guys have that,
Yeah.
had the name Apollo in your band name, so yeah.
The thing is, if you look at, there's a correlation in Carl Jung's research between the right brain thinking and the left brain thinking, with Apollonian Apollo thinking versus Dionysian or Dionysus style thinking.
Right.
So I like to think we have a healthy balance with our music.
Which is interesting. In the ancient Greek and later Roman culture, they had a more primitive, like there's a duality of man and of a primitive way of thinking and a more educated, sophisticated way of thinking. Today, I don't really think about that, but I think they were more what was going on. But one instrument that we should show, if you can see this is an antique. It's from about 1790 or so. It's a flageolet.
Ooh, I like it.
And the flageolet, which interestingly was performed more by women. Now, what's interesting, in the 18th century, women didn't really play the flute because it was considered phallic, right? But for that reason, women could play this. Why? Because probably,
not,
you know why? Because of the Maenads. Maybe the 18th century were like, well, the Maenads could perform on these ancient instruments. The ancient times. So Bacchus was, worshipped by Maenads, by women. It was a cult for women. We don't know why. But it was a cult for women. So most of his, adorners and people that worshipped him in Greece and Rome were women. So the Eulos was a two. So you'd have two of these, two instruments. But if you look at this, it's a beak, like a piece of bone, right? It looks like a bead, like a double-reeded instrument, like an oboe. It ain't, though. It's just a regular, it's like a recorder, but it has this piece made to look like an oboe reed, because it's supposed to look like ancient, aulos. They would have two of them, play them together, and it would be used for the worship of Dionysus, be also used in warfare to march. Pipe and drum music later came from this type of music, and we, have a fife. Like in the Middle Ages, they have a little pipe and tape. You have a little flute and a little drum that you'd play, and then eventually, is you would play the fife, a bigger instrument, and then a bigger drum, and you would have two players as opposed to one. But the whole idea is that from antiquity with Dionysus and his worship, and also Dionysus was, well, you want to talk a little bit about him and the Theosis and his...
The D?
Yeah.
The D.
Because he had a military...
military, kind of militaristic entourage.
This is kind of odd, his conquest and everything.
Yeah, it was kind of militaristic if you think about it, because Dionysus would go in with his Maenads and his satyrs, and they were hard.
They went to India too,
right? They did. Zeus sent Dionysus to India to conquer, but it kind of, I think instead of like killing them all and conquering them, he kind of taught them how to, make wine and things like that.
And have relations with people.
And how, and do the thing. Do the D, if you will.
So what was the story with the Theosis if it was used as a weapon? Do you know, Eliza?
I don't entirely. I just know it was kind of a symbol. It was almost like a bit of a war club.
Right.
The main way that Maenads would actually fight is by drinking and getting into this insane hysterical frenzy and just ripping limb from limb.
It's not the wine, it was LSD.
It's secret LSD.
Yeah.
So these women would go on these ecstasy, fueled trips, and they would tear things and living beings apart, such as like animals, people. Actually, that's kind of what happened to Orpheus.
One of the songs we'll perform tonight, right? Orpheus, who went down to the underworld to rescue his wife, was later
ripped apart by Maenads.
Destroyed by the Maenads.
He wouldn't stop singing sad music, and they got sick of it, so they got into this whole rage and ripped him limb from limb. Now, one of the reasons why wine was such an important aspect of Dionysian worship is because it would bring you to a sense of ecstasy. Because Dionysus preached about, an afterlife, a happier afterlife. And so in order to experience that, or something very similar to it, obviously without itself, is by ingesting the wine, which is infused.
Right. Yeah. Awesome.
Correlations with Christianity and ancient Greek and Roman religion.
Ancient astronaut theorists are just not much just.
Oh, I got the shirt going. Yeah. Believe in some of this stuff, yeah.
Hey, everybody joining. I've been seeing people come in, and I'm just like, okay, I'm listening and like also trying to like acknowledge everybody too. So
and
cool.
People coming in at like the inopportune times, and I'm talking about palaces and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Speaking of Maenads, this is a beautiful piece. This is 1770s Mycin, and it is a small of a Maenad. And she is leopard skin. The leopard was actually very sacred to Dionysus because he went on a chariot driven by leopards and panthers.
Very cool.
Got the ivy in her hair to help prevent her hangovers. I don't really.
Yeah. There you go.
We're gonna try it tonight.
We're gonna try it tonight. No, I'm joking.
Okay.
No.
Oh goodness, yeah. Yeah, but I know I've seen your collection of stuff like on your like blog and Instagram, because I know like you get some pretty cool finds. I love it. Like, do you get where do you find a lot of it?
A lot of it's eBay. A lot of the times people don't know what they're selling, and I'm just like, okay, that's mine now.
Yeah, for anyone.
Yeah.
If you're interested in this stuff, it'll help you. If you're interested and you want to find something, you think about it enough, it'll find you and it'll help you. know? It's just,
absolutely.
Oh, she's eating the cucumber.
let me double check her.
Aw, the bird. Yeah, because
she really like a mischievous toddler that you got to keep your
eye on. You know. Yeah.
Good.
But I found even just stuff finding you. Like I found like an antique like a lap writing desk.
Yeah.
I found it at a Goodwill for only $10.
That's wild.
Yes. I was stunned. I was like, and like I found that at a Goodwill, and there was like also like an old tray too that I think came from the same, I guess, donation or whatever, that I snatched them up because the writing desk was like $10. Yeah, and then like the tray was like $5. I got like 2 really cool pieces of like antiques for that I use for dirt cheap. And it's really because sometimes it's like you go find those old writing like lap desks and everything, and it's like they're like $300 or something, and but I think but sometimes it's like you kind of look at that and it's just like, do people really know what they're getting rid of, or do they just like say maybe an older relative passed away or something like that, and they just kind of are trying to like clean everything out,
Speaking of it,
but
there's something I read to you from.
You have to pay me?
Yeah, I got everything bookmarked.
Okay,
so this is my newest acquisition. It is the Odes of Horace. It's the 1740s edition.
Oh my goodness.
Father studied that in college.
Now, I think this is really neat because somebody who owned this, it was William Oldfield in 1807. And doodled it.
His copy was.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Isn't that wild?
Oh, I love it.
Horace the Ancient.
That is awesome.
So yeah, Horace is the ancient Roman poet who actually kind of revolutionized poetry as we know it today.
Right. Yeah.
So
it's typical, like colonial America. Gentlemen would study this.
Or even a lady.
Yeah, ladies too. Well, certainly like Aaron Burr's
Theodosia.
Yeah. Right? She understood.
Yeah.
Hey, would you like to read with me, Snowbird?
Yeah.
There you go.
Do we want a story time, Snowbird?
Story time with Eliza.
I'm
sure she doesn't.
We can have story time in the tavern. Anything goes here. So.
to Venus.
Ooh.
He entreats Venus to come upon the temple of Glycera dedicated to her. O Venus, queen of Nidus and Paphos, quit your beloved Cyprus and transfer yourself to the beautiful chapel of Glycera. Invoking you with much incense, come, you attended with Cupid and the Graces. With their loose girdles, let the nymphs hasten hither also, and youth not very agreeable without you, and Mercury. Now, what's kind of cool is they have sort of an analysis of
right,
as well as the Latin translation.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is kind of cool.
Yeah.
And what's interesting about this is the owner actually kind of penciled in like certain areas, and all of them
I love that.
have to deal with loss and grief.
Right.
So let's see. He highlighted this section. The universal concurrence of all nations under heaven in the great article of devotion and adoration plainly show that devotion, religious worship, must be the effect or tradition from some first founder of mankind, or that it is comfortable to the natural light of reason, or that it proceeds from an instinct implanted in the soul itself. So, speaking of Dionysus and Bacchus, I
yes,
an ode to Bacchus here.
Ooh.
To Bacchus, the poet brings the praises of Bacchus, being filled with his power. Oh, you posterity, believe me, I saw Bacchus teaching songs on the remote rocks to the nymphs learning, and the ears of the goat-footed satyrs pricked up to listen to him. I think that's how you say it. To the
Yeah.
I'm sure some scholars will rip me a new one over this, but fight me. Denny.
Oh well, yeah.
Walk in the parking lot behind the dumpsters. I'll be wearing.
There you go. I love it. Yeah.
Praise of Bacchus. My mind quakes with sudden dread, and my heart, full of the god, beats with tumultuous joy. Spare, Father Bacchus, spare, who you are so dreadful with your venerable rod.
There you go.
I feel
Drink to that, you know.
May it be lawful for me to sing the songs of the stubborn Thyiads from the fountain of wine and the flowing rivers of milk, and to rehearse the honey falling from the hollow trunks of trees. May I beg you leave also sing the honored hair of your happy consort Ariadne, placed among the stars, at the place of Pentheus, thrown in with the terrible fall, and the death of Lycurgus the Thracian. You who command the rivers and the barbarian sea, or the...
We know Snow Baby's, opinion on this.
She's my little screaming marshmallow. If you want to follow her, she's Snowbird the Screaming Marshmallow.
Oh, I'll have to follow her, yeah.
But it's interesting because it sings of the story for Christ born.
Okay.
Who conquered death to save his Ariadne and his mother, which I think is pretty cool. He goes into the underworld and not only about his mother.
Absolutely.
According to the mythology. So, happy Mother's Day.
Yes. Happy Mother's Day to everybody.
So this is just a very fascinating book. And what I loved about this one, too, is he had bookmarks from old newspapers from the 1800s.
Oh, that is awesome.
It shows you that we do the same things. Anything is a bookmark if you're creative enough.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that is such a cool find. That is such a cool find. Like, because not only, what's Snowbird doing now?
You say hello? You say hello?
Oh, hi. Oh, there she is. You'll have to follow her Instagram. Aw.
You say hello?
Is that her hello?
Yeah. Would you like to hear a couple songs?
Sure, absolutely. I love, yeah.
Before I tuck the child in. Yeah, before.
Yes, before you, yes.
Yeah, we're gonna sing some music, Snow.
All right. So yeah, so we're going to have music here. Okay.
It's the song of Orpheus and Eurydice, written by
All right. Yeah. All right. Hey, Matt, who just joined us. What's up, everybody?
Oh wait, I'm doing the other version. I'm doing the woman's version. Let's do from the top again.
From top?
Yeah. When Odes went down to the regions below, to bring forbidden to see, he trooped up his lawyers on his story shore to set his Eurydice free. That of hers and toys should dash in danger his life, and ventures survive was their surprise when they heard that he came for his wife. Was their surprise when they heard that he came for his wife. To find that a punishment due to the thought of Pluto had puzzled his brain. But Herod not told that sufficient he thought, so he gave him his wife back again. Gave him his wife back again. But soon he took pity on Orpheus' sore fate, and pleased with his playing so well, he took her again out of his heart. Such power had music in hell. Such power had music. Such power had music in hell.
All right.
With a company.
That was awesome. And I love how Snowbird just kind of like added her little
She's like,
added her little bits in, you know.
that time, so she.
Cool. And what was that song again?
Orpheus and Eurydice. It was written by William Boyce.
Cool. Nice. Yeah.
Through to King George II and III.
Ooh, very good. I love it.
Fine.
Do back as a sister.
I think we should. The next song is a Corelli piece.
Ooh, sweet. All right.
Let me grab my phone.
Opera 6, we say Opus 6 today, number 10, and it's the Minuet at the end of the concerto.
Cool.
Eliza's getting some.
I'm getting the phone charger.
Eliza's getting the phone charger. Oh.
Eliza was done and bought the wrong phone charger at the grocery store. Eliza makes some dumb today and has no idea what
But I certainly think, English and American people at the time saw Corelli and Italian people to kind of embody, ancient antiquity, Rome, or grand tour of Europe to ancient Greece to see the Colosseum, to see this is Snowbird.
Yeah, she's the sight everybody wants to see, right? You did a good girl. You did a good girl? Yeah.
You ready?
Yeah, she's being very good.
2 verses.
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
Let's show them the...
All right.
Show the picture. Yeah, the pictures are cool. Everybody likes
A lot
pictures,
of the
right?
songbooks,
Yes.
the better songbooks at the time would show, have pictures of different song, right? You want to talk a little bit about it?
Well, here is they're worshiping the effigy of Dionysus.
Right.
So also the god of theater. Masks, like the theatrical masks, were a big staple of his worship. So you got the effigy of Bacchus, and you got the the theatrical mask here, and you got the ivy wrap around it. You got some. He's meant to be Selenius. On the donkey,
him, right?
Right.
Kind of a John the Baptist.
Yeah. Or even almost a Falstaff, if you will.
Okay.
I love it.
So it's a lot of correlations with the different religions that,
Yeah.
they understood in the 1700s.
Hey, do you mind? Snow baby.
I love it. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
You guys have the coolest stuff,
We try to keep it interesting.
Yes. Hey, nothing wrong with that. Yeah.
You ready?
Yep, let's do it.
All right.
Do you mind? Really? Bacchus assist us to sing thy great glory. Chief of our gods, we exalt in their story. Voiceless assist us to sing thy great glory. Chief of our gods, we exalt in thy story. Mind's first projector, mankind's protector, patron to is how we do adore thee. Wine's first projector, mankind's protector, patron to is how we do adore thee. Camera angle's not the best. Nature, she smiled when thy birth it was placed. Mankind rejoiced when thy altars were raised. Nature, she smiled when thy birth it was placed. Mankind rejoiced when thy altars were raised. Mirth will be flowing, lust of thine flowing, hearts of our souls that our joys be amazed. Mirth will be flowing, lust of thine flowing, hearts of our souls that our joys be amazed.
All right. Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. Like I said, I love how Snowbird keeps putting her input into it.
This is not easy.
You guys are doing fine. You guys are doing awesome.
Thank you.
So, but that was, I love it because I have noticed that especially in a lot of even 18th century pieces, there is a lot of reference to the Roman gods and even the Greek deities and everything. So clearly.
You see the whole idea of the neoclassical era. You see all the architecture going towards that sort of Greek revival look. 30s Greek revival, yes. And even the women's clothing was meant to emulate the statues of the period. Of course, know is that everything was painted and colorful, but you can only learn so much at the very beginning of things, right?
Absolutely. And, the thing too is it's really interesting to see how all the different things, come back around again. One friend of mine she's a historical costumer as well. She said that there is some similarities between the 1780s and the 1980s.
There is, with the big hair.
The big curly hair.
Absolutely.
Big shoulders, crazy makeup,
It totally is. She's right.
Yeah.
Everything's new. Everything's recycled.
Exactly. And that's the thing, because it's so interesting because, people always think, oh, we're these innovators and
everything.
And
it's really not.
We're completely new. It's never been done before. It's yes, it has.
And that's why you got to study history.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can understand how trends work and why birds are green.
Yeah. And one interesting thing that, because even when I look at the Regency era, I actually see some similarities between the Regency era and kind of like the bohemian like styles of the 1920s.
Boho
you know,
dress. Where do you think that comes from? It doesn't come from. It comes from the Regency period. I mean, it could come from Bohemia. I don't know.
Yeah.
But there's definitely a lot of correlations.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And like I said, that's what I really, really like about, what you write on your blog, because you do talk about all of that stuff. And, and like I said, like the first time I came across your blog, I think I might have I stayed up pretty late reading a lot of like the articles. It's like, cause I was, like I said, I was doing research for, a historical cosmetics piece, and I ended up just kind of reading through like so much of your blog posts because I just found everything. Cause, first of all, it's like, there were a couple things, some things that I didn't know, so, I mean, cause you're always going to learn something new. And, and I also like how you talk about a lot of, I guess, the less popular parts of like history, the stuff that doesn't really get talked about a lot.
Or like mainstream ideas of what history is like. History is funny because it's so similar to what we go through today. There's
absolutely
today's society, there's ugly parts of today's society, and there's the beautiful and the strange that should be embraced.
Yes. And what I also like about, what I also find fascinating about you and your blog is like how you're also a tarot reader, right?
Yeah.
Yes. I love it. You're also a tarot reader, and you talked about how tarot and all that was actually a thing back in the 18th century. Because a lot of people think that, oh, if you did all of that up until maybe like a certain time, you were burned as a witch. Oh no,
No.
Yeah.
This was like the age of reason and enlightenment. There was no witch burning. She up in the shower screaming her little birdie hat off. She's throwing throws what we call little baby bird bitch fits.
Yeah, but what made you like want to get into that? Like what piqued your interest there? And
mathematics or the tarot?
Tarot and like the history of it.
Well, I do readings, and how cool would it be to do that as a living history demonstration? To combine both my love of like card reading and helping people and history and educating.
Yeah.
Because when I do readings, I'm not here to like give you gloom and doom. I'm here to like say, this is what's going on, this is how you fix it, and this is what's going to happen after you fix it.
That's what I like. Yeah, because I think what a lot of people find frustrating about it is that, like, they think, because there are some people that are just about doom and gloom, and I think, though, that's more, has to do with them internally, so they bring that out into whatever reading they do,
I mean, I'm just here to kind of tell it like it is and help.
Yeah.
It was funny, when I do the Colonial Day in Japan, New York, I have lines of people looking to get my readings, people who come back just to go to that event just to get a reading from me.
That is awesome.
And it's nice because people say, this came true, this happened, and thank you, and that just like makes my day because it's like, that's what I do. That's my job.
But that's the thing, like, even like if you're like just kind of telling them, okay, this is your current energy, and this is what the direction you can take to maybe like fix this part in your life. I mean, like that, that's awesome that you can do that for people,
I just remember this one time I was doing a reading for somebody and I was picking up music business, like somebody, and he was a bit of a skeptic. He's like, I'm just to humor my girlfriend, I'm like, okay, are you going into some kind of music business? And he's like, how did you know?
He's like, what?
I'm like, it's what the cards are telling me. And he's like, I'm looking to become a DJ. I was just like, inside, I'm like, yes, I'm not crazy.
Oh, that is awesome.
When you do these things, it's like, am I just pulling this out of my butt, or is this actually gonna happen? Or is this a thing? Let me say, see what happens. And like I'd say, 9 times out of 10, you're on. Sometimes it's hard for me to like read people when there are other people around.
Right.
So I pick up on somebody else, and I'm accidentally giving them a reading and not the person in front of me.
Oh, yeah. So you kind of have to be careful with that you're really focusing in on that person that you're giving the reading to. Yeah.
But it's cool to be able to do that. And then people bring me into their family dramas, and I'm like, look, I'm just here to say what the cards are saying. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the cards kind of mess with me, too.
Okay.
There was at this one event there was this music group that we're kind of in a bit of a rivalry with, if they want to call it that. I'm just here to do the music.
Okay.
And she's kind of like, oh, can you read my fortune? And I'm like, okay. And all I'm is, I swear to God, cards, if you tell them that we're going to take over and you're not going to get any more gigs, I'm going to do 52 pickup on this sheet. So,
yeah.
I do. And the first thing I see is there's rivals in your way. And I'm like, cards, you're being assholes. Don't do that to me. So ever since
stop it,
so gently, not to like give anything away or like say anything. I'm trying to be as vague as possible.
Right. Yeah. Of course.
To be vague in order to like, not make things even more awkward than they already are.
Yeah. Oh, that's yeah.
And I'm just like,
yeah, and you do have like an antique, like 18th century deck that you use.
Hold up. Let me just turn this.
Yeah.
Find it.
Yeah. Hey, everybody is joining us. So
this is it.
We're going to see some antique tarot
the
deck.
front
Cool.
deck. It's from the 1780s. It is swords, or the valet of swords, and it's
nice.
Back detail like that.
Oh wow!
I've seen full decks go for like 3,000, and I'm just like, okay, Erick, hear me out.
Yeah.
Hear me out.
Yeah, I know, right?
Write-off.
Mm-hmm.
If I use it for the business, is it a tax write-off?
Oh man. Mm-hmm. But what would you say is like the biggest misconception that people have about like, doing readings and even like the 18th century when it comes to, spirituality and enlightenment and all of that?
That everything was like the time of the Puritans. In the 18th century, you had a wide range of even various different types of Christianity. I mean, what I find interesting is the idea of Swedenborgism, which is like this kind of obscure church that's actually that was in America. And the early form of the spiritualist movement of the 19th century, I think, because it talks about being able to speak and commune with spirits.
Right.
Such as like spirits of your relatives and things like that, saying that you can get advice from them and things like that. I didn't reread that blog post because I forgot a lot of it. It's been a long time since I read that.
Yeah.
Research on that. But the Swedenborgism church still is around, and you can.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's very interesting. My faith, I'm a Methodist, and he and this guy Swedenborg and John Wesley actually were in regular correspondence with one another. So I thought that was cool. Wesley was a bit of a skeptic when it came to Swedenborg's ideas, but is what it is. They were still, still were friends.
Yeah, but it really seems like people. It's interesting you brought that up because it does seem like people seem to think that if it was like prior to like the 20th century or whatever, then everything was just like like you said, very much like the Puritans, when really, I mean, different people, I mean, humans have been very diverse and very even because I read one article where somebody said that actually in the 18th century and even before, like you can have two families living 5 minutes from each other, yet might have like completely different beliefs, completely different viewpoints, completely different experiences in life. I mean, because people tend to want to like put like everybody before a certain time period in a box.
People like categories. People like boxes. It's an easy way to compartmentalize thinking in history so that you move on to the next thing really quickly and just pass the quiz and then forget about it.
Right.
What you do, what I do, what Erick does, what we do is we break apart those compartments but still make things digestible. Right. Because the reason why I love history so much is we can understand trends. Yes. History, and I learn where things come from, and even maybe know where we're going. Right. Yeah, absolutely. And things go. And that's the thing. Yeah, I mean, and that's what I like. I like seeing the different cycles. I like seeing how different trends kind of came and went, and, I like seeing, how, especially like the role that women played in society. It was more of like a wavy line. Yeah. Where people tend to think it was just all flat-lined, and then suddenly the 1960s hit, and suddenly everybody magically became enlightened, and that's not really how it was, I mean, for a brief time in the 1790s in New Jersey, women could vote. Yeah. I don't know why that stopped for as long as it did, but it was a thing. Yeah, but and that's the thing. It's like, because even before there was universal suffrage, I mean, there were like women even like in like early Americas. I know like Colorado actually passed a law where women could vote. Like I think it was as far back as correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was like mid 1800s or something like that. I can't remember off the top of my head. Yeah, I can't remember the exact date, but it was pretty early. And it's just, and that's the thing, and that's what I wish a lot of mainstream history would teach. Because I mean, not that they don't talk about important things, but they don't really talk about the little nuances that were there. And I think people are trying to erase history because it's been taught wrong. For example, there was a Quaker living in Philadelphia who was gender fluid. Jemima Wilkinson. They identified as they because they had believed that they had the spirit of Christ living in them. So they were both female. And this person actually had a bit of a following. They were a Reverend Quaker preacher. They were a Quaker Reverend, and they actually moved up to New York. And they had a little society that was believed in these sort of, teachings and So we're still, it's the same. Yeah. And I know that, people think that history, everything was so very just binary and boring, and everything is one way or another. And that way, because it's taught wrong, people want to get right. But if I agree, read more, and if you learn more, I learned about Jemima Wilkinson actually in a book that I wrote. John Fanning Watson wrote about living in Philadelphia during the Revolution. Yeah, and he talked about how Jemima Wilkinson was this, reverend who identified as they, although that she was, she had beautiful hair, and I'm like, okay, I mean, that's a nice compliment. Yeah. Yeah. This is here. Guess who? Oh no. Speaking of birds and owning the umbrella cockatoo, you actually do see in a lot of satirical prints of the late 18th century for women who were very vain. Or even macaronis, because men who were very vain, and the whole macaroni idea because of their cute little crests. Yeah. Yes. Show off your pretty crowns. Show off your pretty crown. Yeah. No, I want to go to bed. Leave me alone. I'm cranky. She's got a good bird. But
Aw.
yeah. These birds were.
It's almost time for her to go to sleep.
she's like a little cranky toddler right now.
Aw. How old is she?
She's 30.
Oh wow, okay. But she's like a cranky toddler.
Yeah. she's my little cranky toddler, even though she's like a.
Aw. Yeah.
Yeah, these birds. The oldest known cockatoo was hatched in 1793 and died in like 1912. So.
Oh wow. Wow. So they can live pretty long.
Live pretty long. She actually outlived her first owner.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. Yeah, that's yeah, I do know that there are, I mean, I don't know too much about birds, but I do know that there are some, you know, certain like species or subspecies that can live for a pretty long time, you know. So yeah. Yeah, cool. So what do you guys have coming up here?
We've got no music gigs, unfortunately. I actually do have a living history gig for Becky Franks. And yeah.
I know you portray her quite a bit. I love it.
She's my alter ego. I love that girl because she's hysterical.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and wasn't she like she was actually siding with the British.
Mm-hmm. She was a loyalist.
Yeah, she was
pegged.
She said a lot of not so nice things about George Washington.
Yeah, she wrote this like 40-page poem just ripping the entire Continental Army a new one after her father was arrested in 78. Like she was taking no prisoners.
Right. Yeah, I mean, because I have seen you know, so, like short video clips of you portraying her and everything, and you do a very good job. And I recall you talking about how, you know, and I know I've gotten this too, where if you're portraying any female in the 18th century, you're automatically Martha Washington.
I know. I've had people ask, "Are you Martha Washington?" And I just say, "Ew, no." Becky.
Yeah, well, because that's how Becky Franks would act, you know. Or even like if I'm in like I've even gotten like, because I'll be in like a Regency kind of Jane Austen type of thing, and I had somebody say, "Oh, I think of Martha Washington when I look at that pic," and I'm like, "That's actually Jane Austen." And he's like, "Oh, really?" And I'm like,
"You see, this is why we need to teach history."
Yeah.
Back then was Martha Washington. Poor George would get very confused.
Yes. All these women are his wives, you know.
That just all those anniversaries to remember.
I know, right?
But that's too, because she was Jewish, but she was raised Anglican. So she was Methodist. I get to research 18th century Judaism. I haven't so far, but I'm still learning. And it's cool to be able to learn not just history, but the history of a culture and a people, which I think is so fascinating. And I want to share that with people and have another person relate to that. So
right, yeah, absolutely.
Not, you know, that type of, I am not of that faith, I'm not of that nationality. I can still share it. And I want to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And, you know, and it really, because that's the thing. I mean, if it weren't for someone like you doing that, like people would never know who Becky Franks was, you know?
Oh,
and I know you do.
Our home, it's in Philly, in Fairmount Park, Woodford Mansion.
Ooh.
It is the most beautiful sight I've ever seen.
Uh-huh. Oh.
So much 18th century porcelain. I love it. It's like if I designed a historic site. And they have and they just restored their piazza, which is beautiful. The beautiful big with these Windsor chairs. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And
wow.
Actually, I voiced Becky Franks in their online cell phone audio tour. So if you want to do that.
That is awesome. That is so awesome.
Staff at Woodford, they are so sweet. Like, they are the nicest people. Actually, I think their director has an African gray parrot, so we talk birds.
Oh, sweet. Yeah.
And it was so funny because when I portrayed Becky for a Christmas event back in 2018, you know, in the before times.
Right.
Right before the Rona hit. People, the site director is like, you memorize parts of her letters and put them into conversation. I'm like, yeah. The secret is autism. What? Speaking of which, reading her letters, they scream ADD.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they are all over the place, but they're smart and they're well written. It's fun because she'll talk about 3 different topics in one sentence. Yeah. And then ask about the weather. I'm like, oh man.
Oh, wow.
Same thing. Girl, you need some Adderall.
Oh, goodness.
I'll conveniently forget to. No, I'm just joking. I don't do that. It's just so.
Yeah.
No, I'm just joking. But when portraying Becky, I portray her with the ADD to give a further bit of dynamic, you know, life to her.
Right. That's brilliant.
It's
like
part of who she is. And if you read letters, you see it. And you read the records that were written about her, it's very ADD. I mean, when she was about to dance with Sir Henry Clinton at a ball in New York, requested the song Britain Strike Home to do a minuet to, and, you know, impulsively she turned to the audience, you know, she turned to the music and said, "The Commander-in-Chief has made a mistake. I think he meant to say Britain's go home." And what I love about the story,
oh man,
you're gonna love this.
Yeah.
He complained to her father, and her father said, "Yeah, she's a saucy girl, and if you want to dance with her, you have to put up with her jokes." Go, David Franks. You go.
That is awesome. Yeah.
Best dad ever.
Best dad ever. You know.
For Henry Clinton to deal with it.
Yeah.
Which is
oh gosh, yeah.
So cool.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, so and I know you've also done Eliza Hamilton.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's such a beautiful, tragic figure.
Right.
I adore portraying her as well because she's so incredibly strong as a human being.
Yes, absolutely. Oh yeah.
And I could not possibly imagine what she had went through. I mean, she lost her son. One of her daughters went insane, you know, and went like completely had a mental breakdown. So she had to.
Yeah, Angelica, right? Yeah.
Angelica. And then later, her husband dies. And so she's got to deal with all of her kids. She's got to deal with still probably grieving the loss of her son to this, you know, to a duel. She's got to deal with Angelica. And then on top of that, she has to deal with the overwhelming debt that left her. I'm reading a biography on her and I still don't know how she did it. She must, and the fact that she was determined to not, you know, let people forget who her husband was and what he did for America. She deserves the musical, not him.
Yeah.
She deserves the musical.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
so
deal with the whole Reynolds affair as well.
Right.
And Mariah was actually, I think, a distant cousin of hers as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's even more awkward.
Yeah, so she has to deal with that as well. So, yeah. Huh.
So
yeah, but
that she had to deal with, and she still managed to run her household, raise her kids, and raise funds for the Washington Monument, and create this orphanage. The orphanage, it's incredible, and it still stands today.
It's still there, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I know I have done some, like, you know, reading on the whole, of course, the history site that I I'm an events director at too. It's mainly Whiskey Rebellion era. So I have done, quite a bit of research on Alexander Hamilton and of course his life, his family, all that stuff. And like looking at, like his wife, Eliza, looking at her, it's really amazing, everything that she endured, but was still able to accomplish in her life. And it's almost like it just kind of makes, and especially since they didn't have the modern conveniences that we have to maybe help with that. Like she didn't have like a Facebook or an Instagram or anything like that to help advertise her orphanage or, whatever she had to do to help, help pay off the debt that, she was left after Alexander died, and
in every single her husband. And so it's probably like determined as ever to make sure each one of those kids grew up knowing that they are special, that they're loved.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that I think is just absolutely beautiful. She was a beautiful person inside and out. Mm-hmm. Becky's kind of like, she's a bit of an anti-hero where she's not exactly, she's more chaotic neutral, I'd say.
Right.
Chaotic neutral force. And people
oh,
so what happened to you? Did you have to go to Canada? And I'm like, no, I married a British officer and then I became Lady Rebecca Johnson and lived in Bath.
Yeah.
And what's the funniest thing? The funniest thing of all, General Winfield Scott goes and visits her in Bath, and she's this little old lady, and she gets pushed around in her little wheelchair. She's like, I wish I'd been a patriot. I mean, don't get me wrong, my life is great. I love my husband, but if I were to do things over, I'd be a patriot.
Yeah.
So it's like, Becky.
Yeah, you make me want to do more research on Becky Franks, definitely.
I don't know if, like, she was messing with him, because that's something
right.
I could see her doing that. Or if she genuinely meant it.
Mm-hmm.
So
I guess we won't know.
Don't know. But I like portraying her because she's not famous. Mm-hmm. But she's friends with people who were.
Right.
So there may not be a biography on her. There's footnotes about her. There's a little section on her in this book on American women that's maybe a couple paragraphs. And so when you gather all this research and you read her letters, you get a narrative of who she was and what she was like, and gives you a guide on how to portray her. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I like looking up the lesser known people, just because I think they add a little bit more of like a new character.
Because not everybody can be George Washington. Not everybody
right.
Peggy Shippen. Not everybody can be, I don't know, Lizzie Loring.
Right.
People can be friends with those people and know and be able to talk about them. Like as Becky, I say that Peggy Shippen has horrible taste in men.
I love it.
Step into the narrative and not to be talked at, but talked to. And with her, people don't ask me about history. They'll say,
right,
what kind of boys do you like? Do you see anybody here that you like? Like, who are you interested in?
Yeah.
And it's funny because you get to sit down and have a conversation with somebody from 200 years ago and just chat.
Yes. I love it. Yeah.
And that's what I.
Yeah, that's like my favorite part of it. It's like the closest thing you're going to get to actually having a conversation with this person. Yeah. Yeah, very cool. So are there any new personas you're working on or?
Not really as of yet. I'm still thinking about some things. My whole idea for the murder ballads is in my head right now. I
love it.
My murder mystery novel that I'm working on is Peggy Shippen.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is going to be good. So Peggy Shippen and her friends are going to be solving a murder. And there's Agent 355 is going to be in it. So there's going to be like espionage and intrigue and all that.
Oh, I love it.
So what I want to do is eventually turn it into a series, and lead up to that moment at West Point where Peggy Shipman realizes, oh God, I've gotten in over my head.
Nice.
It has a complete and total breakdown. Do you think she faked that breakdown or not? What's your opinion?
That's a good question. It's like a mystery for the ages.
Isn't it though?
Mm-hmm. I mean,
Aaron says she faked it, but I don't trust Aaron Burr personally.
Yeah, I mean, I lean toward not faking it. What about you?
I don't think she did, because she was known to have a panic disorder.
Right.
It was written that she was prone to having panic attacks. And her father didn't want her going to the Meschianza because he was worried she would go into a dancing fit. It could be some
this is true.
Of mental disorder, anxiety problem.
Yeah.
So when I write this novel, I want these girls to have, some sort of, be relatable in the regards to having an undiagnosed disorder.
Right.
And to show that, not everybody was neurotypical back then, and like how people aren't neurotypical today.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I know, like you said you're just starting out this novel series, correct?
I mean, I haven't really written anything yet, but I've been like categorizing everything, like like making the bare bones like outline of my plot. It's really good. Not to toot my but I'm like excited to write it so I can read it.
Yeah, definitely. Like keep me posted on. Yeah, I'd love to read it because, like I said, my new podcast I'm going to be doing, I'm actually discussing books that are in like the historical and fantasy genres that like I've read, and and even like discussing some of their social constructs, discussing some of just like my own take on it and things like that. Like I think the first book that I'm going to be talking about, it's I didn't take it off the shelf, but it's called Victorian Secrets, what wearing a corset taught me about the past, present, and myself, or something like that. It's by a woman named Sarah Krisman, and she and her husband, they wear Victorian era clothing on a regular basis. And she talks about her journey from, having the same impression about corsets that a lot of people do. Oh, they're restrictive, they're degrading, they're this, they're that.
Short women.
To actually not only wearing them on a regular basis, but enjoying wearing them and actually finding that
in their own way. People, they're empowering. For some people,
yes,
it's not fair to say one or the other.
Right.
I personally am for them because it not only gives you the right silhouette, it's empowering in its own way.
I agree. Like when I put on a corset or stays or something, I'm like, hello. I mean, I've even worn them to the gym. The only thing I can't do in a corset is like some ab work. That's the only thing. Yeah, that's the only thing. I did it as an experiment, and I just wore it like underneath like my gym clothes and everything, and I had to wear a sweatshirt instead of a sports bra, obviously, but but it was like, but I worked out in it. I did pretty much a full workout.
That's really cool.
And and even like, and it was so funny because when I was doing like a house tour, and I usually incorporate clothing into my house tours. Like in the kitchen, I'll say, okay, this is what a worker girl would have worn. And then when we're getting more like into like the drawing room and all of that, I get like more my upper class clothing out and I show it. And when I was talking about corsets and and people are like always like, oh my gosh, really? Like when I tell them the truth about corsets, and I told this one group about my little experiment about, you know, with working out in a corset. And I was just like, you know what, you know, and I'm also a fitness trainer too. So I'm just like, so I'm like, you know what?
Help me out.
If I can do that, you know, hey, if I say it's okay, you know, and then I had this one woman who I don't like, I think I discussed this when I was, when I had April from Fashions Revisited on, and, you know, yeah, isn't she awesome? I love her. Yes. But like, but I was talking, and I told her, I was like, I don't know if this woman was trying to relive her glory days from the 70s or something like that, but she kind of steps forward and she's like, you need to go to the Philadelphia Medical Museum where they have the skeletons of women who, you know, whose ribs were crushed by the corsets and blah, blah, blah. And I go,
I love the Motor Museum, first of all. No, I went there when I was in high school for a field trip, and
yeah,
from there with the cast of the Siamese twins on it.
Yeah. Oh,
I love it.
But what's interesting is that in her book, and I actually said this to this woman too, and I'm like, okay, yes, there were extremists, you know. But I mean, but I even explained what Sarah Chrisman said in her book was a lot of the times sometimes when they're actually trying to preserve the skeletons, like some of this, like the ways that they would preserve it actually would be what disintegrated the ribs, you know. So I go, so yeah, I mean, maybe some women were extreme with it, but
we have extreme corset wearers today.
Exactly.
You know, it's like a fetish thing. That's nothing new.
Right. Right. Exactly.
Sees themselves as more beautiful with the extremely tight waist. People existed like that then too. I mean,
yeah.
People
exactly. And April brought up a good point, saying if you like put on like a really uncomfortable and constricting bra, you know.
Yeah.
Are you going to be like, okay, they're all bad? No. You know, it's just, okay, maybe that particular one didn't fit you right, you know?
Exactly. And who knows, maybe 200 years from now, people will be like, oh my God, they wore bras?
Yeah.
Torture.
Oh no. You know?
Okay.
Yeah. Or even like some of the shapewear people wear today, you know?
It's like Spanx, but you know, people.
Spanx. Yeah. Exactly. I mean, in a way, like especially some of the Edwardian era corsets that, you know, that went down like pretty much past your thighs and everything, you know, like those were pretty much like, they pretty much were like Spanx, you know?
They totally were.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, but that's, you know, I do, that's one of the first things I'm going to be discussing is that book. And yeah, when yours comes out, I'd love to read it and talk about it and everything. And yeah.
When it comes out.
Yes, let me know.
I'm going to say when and put it out there.
Yes. Awesome. Cool. So, yeah. So, all right. I let us go a little bit over time since we had that technical issue in the beginning and everything.
I should probably do Snowbird Night song. Let me see if I
Yes.
do the night song together.
Yes.
All right, let's do it.
Sure.
We're going to say night to Snowbird.
All right.
There we go. You get that light? All right, here we go.
Okay.
Night, night, little snowbird. Night, night, little snowbird. Night, night, little snowbird. I love you. Night, 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 little snowbird. Night, night, little snowbird.
Oh gosh.
Little snowbird. Little snowbird. Little snowbird, I don't know what it is you do. Little snowbird, what is snowbird? Little snowbird, little snowbird, you're just a two. Night, night, little snowbird. Night, night, little.
I love you guys.
I do. And I'm also
So cute.
love you.
Hi, Snowbird.
I know.
So that's how you say goodnight to Snowbird?
Got to do this every.
That's awesome. I love you guys. That's great. All right. Well, I would thank you so much for coming on. It was so much fun, like finally getting to talk to you, like other than, you know, switching blog posts and everything. So, but yeah, I'd love to like do it again. Maybe we should collaborate musically or we should.
Let's do it.
I'd be all for that. Yeah, and then maybe, I don't know, maybe Halloween time, I could have you on. We could discuss tarot and stuff a little bit more, and
We can do some,
that would be awesome.
we can do live readings. Would that not be fun?
That would be fun. That might be fun. Let's like, yeah, let's talk about it more. I'd love it.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, it was so awesome getting to, like I said, finally, like, really talk to you.
I know, this was really cool.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, you guys have a good rest of the night, and thank you to everybody that joined us.
Yes, thank you.
If you came in late or you missed it, you know, I will have the replay on, so you'll get to see all the fun we had tonight. So, yeah, so cheers to you guys. All right. Thanks, guys. Have a good night, and yes, I'll see everybody in the next live stream, which will be May 21st. So, all right, thanks, guys. Have a good night. Okay, see ya.